What's up guys, it's your boy Neil here, welcome back to my channel. It is lovely to have you with me today. Before we get started in today's video, just a couple things. One, sorry I haven't done a video in ages. I've kind of just been doing life, and I know I say this every time, but this time in particular I've been new job, getting out there, going outside, being social, going to the gym, like all these things that normal people do, and I would highly recommend that you do it too. And number two, I got that one right, I've got a new camera and I don't know how to work it just yet. It's currently on autofocus and it will come in and out of focus. You're just gonna have to ride that one out with me. But that's for me to worry about and for you to fucking forget. What I want to talk to you about today is the social media sensation. They've kind of taken the world by storm, and by world I mean New Zealand and Palmerston North. And that is the Palmy Creep Catchers. Now if you read stuff for the New Zealand Herald or a number of other New Zealand news outlets, you've probably heard of these guys. And if you haven't, well, buckle up, because we're going to talk about the timeline, the story of the Palmy Creep Catchers. We're going to talk about who they are and what they represent, or maybe who they were, might be a better term. Who he were, who he were, who he was, and they now are, what they could be. I don't know, it's all very confusing, but let's talk about them. So, the Palmy Creep Catchers stormed into our lives early 2018 with the promise of catching pedophiles and exposing an alleged pedophile ring in little old Palmerston North. No one likes sexual predators or pedophiles, myself included, so of course we were all waiting with bated breath to see who he was exposing next. But the number one question that was on everyone's lips was, who are the Palmy Creep Catchers? What a fucking tune. Anyway, so who are the Palmy Creep Catchers? Well, the New Zealand Herald and Fairfax Media named him as 26-year-old Palmerston North local Connor BEVINS. Now, they said it, not me, but also that information has been out in the public for a very long time. In fact, Connor himself put that on Facebook when he was on Facebook, which now at the moment he is nowhere to be seen, and we'll talk about that very shortly too. So now we know who the Palmy Creep Catchers are, or at this point, who the Palmy Creep Catcher is. But just how did Connor go about his job? Well, Connor used a number of dating apps to try and lure men into meeting with an underage person. And he used apps such as Tinder, but he also used Grindr, which he seemed to spend a lot of time on, and that was to attract men to meet another underage boy. Here is, I guess, out of all of the story, the small bit of comedy that comes out of it, and I think it's fucking hilarious. He used this photo. Oh my god. Okay, like I said, that's probably the only funny thing out of this whole story, and the reason I find it so fucking funny is, one, look at that eyes, those eyes in that photo, and two, like, that's him trying to pose as an underage kid, by the way. As you'll see in the screenshot, he said that he is 14. 14! Looking like that, girl, like, there's some stubble, he's like some HGH kid or something like that, like he's been hitting the roids. Okay, so where to from here? Now that he's managed to lure someone into meeting him in public, what's next? Well, the next step, of course, is to film it, and that's exactly what the Palmy Creep Catchers would do. Except I would describe their film style as kind of rough, kind of am-cam type footage. And if you were lucky enough to see any of the videos, you could probably attest that, yeah, the filming style was pretty rough. Now, I've managed to find some small clips that I can show you, just so you can see, if you're not familiar with the filming style, exactly what it was like. So grab some popcorn and look at this.
Number plate, Palmy Creep Catchers, he's here to meet an underage boy. I do this for a job. I will find you, bro. There he is. Let's go get him, boys. Yeah, bro. I do this as a job. Why are you here to meet a 15-year-old boy? I do this as a job. Palmy Creep Catchers, bro. Palmy Creep Catchers, you're 15 trying to pull a 15-year-old boy. Palmy Creep Catchers, bro. I bet you're gutted to see me, aren't you?
So, like I said, pretty rough, but you can't really blame Connor. When you're unemployed, it's kind of hard to come across any spare money to buy any cameras and stuff like that. Like, I'll tell you, cameras are fucking expensive. Filming equipment and, you know, proper lighting and Not only that, but people to help you film, it all fucking costs a dime or three. Now, speaking of being unemployed, a few times in these videos, Connor says the same thing over and over again.
I do this for a job! I do this as a job! I do this as a job!
Now, I'm not one to get caught up in minutiae, you know, the tiny details of something, but just for, I don't know, journalistic excellence, let's define the job just for the hell of it. Now, who better to ask than Google herself? Himself? Itself? I don't know these days. Define job.
Job, a paid position of regular employment.
Oh, if Google says it, it must be true. So, no, it's not Connor's job.
I do this as a job!
I don't know.
I do this for a job!
No, it's not your job. It was never your job, Connor. So then you could be wondering, why is he doing this? What's the point? Why is he putting himself out there, trying to catch alleged sexual offenders and pedophiles? Well, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to show you. In his own words,
I'm doing this to help other people in my community to give back for the things that I've done.
So, what has Connor done in his past? Or more importantly, what has happened to Connor in his past? Now, you may be wondering, why am I talking about what has happened to Connor previously? And at the beginning of this video, I said that it was a story time video, kind of a story of how the Creep Catchers came about. In the clip that we just saw, he said that he's doing this to make up for his wrongdoings, and possibly things that have happened to him as well have come into play. So I'm going to touch on a few things. These are things that Connor has said himself or confirmed on Facebook. Things that I was able to find screenshots of. Anything else that has been said by other people, I'm trying not to touch on because, again, I only want to talk about things that Connor has, I guess, put out there himself and confirmed himself.
In the criminal justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders. These are their stories.
Physical abuse and stalking. On the 7th of April 2018, Connor confirmed on the Palmy Creep Catchers Facebook page that he has physically abused and harassed a girl in his past. This confirmation came from Connor when he was asked about his opinions on men who beat up barely legal girls and stalk and harass them once they've been dumped. He then goes on to say that he does not condone it, but then when asked more and prompted, he admits that yes, it is something that he has done in his past. He was stupid back then, he says, and she was illegal, but I think that he means that she was legal, of course, otherwise that's kind of a big contradiction in all of this. He also ended up dropping little bits of information here and there. One piece of information that kind of stuck with me, and again it could explain as to why he does the Palmy Creep Catcher stuff. He says that he was abused himself when he was younger and that the man responsible for this abuse walked off free. Now, I don't know how valid that claim is, but just like everything else, if it's come from Connor's mouth, for the purposes of this video, we're going to assume that that is right. And so that could also play into why he started to be the creep catcher.
I'm Palmy Creep Catchers and you're here to meet an underage girl for sex.
If you've been keeping up with the play in regards to the Palmy Creep Catchers, you all know that they're taking a bit of a break. So Connor had moved from home base Palmerston North, which is where his bread and butter was, where most of the offenders, the sexual offenders, were based. He moved to a new place which is called Topor, which is about 2 hours away from Palmerston North. There are a number of theories out there as to why Connor left Palmerston North in the first place. One of those theories is that he was receiving death threats. This is kind of backed up by the fact that Connor also said he was receiving death threats. He said that directly to the police. He said that when the police asked him to come back to Palmerston North, and he said he couldn't because of said threats. It was at this point where we reach a real turning point in regards to the Palmy Creep Catchers story. In the early days, it would have been easy to say that most people who saw his videos supported the cause and supported him for what he was doing. Around the time that he moved to Taupo, we saw a real shift in their support. The public backlash was huge. You could see it everywhere. It was over the Palmy Creep Catchers page, on his private Facebook page, in the comments. In fact, to this day, you can still search Connor BEVINS or search Palmy Creep Catchers in the Facebook search, and you can see there are comments and posts from all over the world, and I'll tell you what, the majority of them are not in support of Connor at all. Despite the public backlash, the Palmy Creep Catchers, the strong-willed Connor BEVINS, decides to carry on and power through and catch more sexual predators for our viewing pleasure, but maybe displeasure at this point. Now, Connor is no longer acting alone. It's at this stage he has help from the Anti-P Ministry, I believe they're called. I've never heard of them before, and I can't find anything about them online. Something I have found about these guys is that they are very staunch followers of Connor, and to this day they kind of scour Facebook and the internet, and if you say something negative about Connor, they're certainly there, and they're gunning for people who say negative things about Connor. So Connor and the gang jump onto dating apps. They jump on Tinder, they also jump on Grindr, which seems to be Connor's dating app of choice. They meet up with a guy at a fast food place. Usual story, they film the interaction. It's your job, bro. It's my job, bro. You're done, mate. You're here to meet an underage. I'm Palmy Creep Catchers, and usual spiel. Then they post the video online. Now, I have been unable to find any information to validate this next claim. All I have is a whole lot of people talking about it on Facebook. A lot of people. I don't know where it started, and I don't know if this is true, but allegedly, the guy that featured in their last video killed himself when he saw that the video was online. He committed suicide. Apparently, he was on holiday with his family, which makes the story even more tragic. That was the last video that we saw from the Palmy Creep Catchers, and I have a fair strong feeling that if you saw it, it's probably the last one that you'll ever see. So, state of affairs right now for the Palmy Creep Catchers. Well, Connor BEVINS appeared in court late April 2018 in relation to some of the activities undertaken by the Palmy Creep Catchers. That involves breaking the Harmful Digital Communications Act, but also involves getting unlawfully into someone else's car. And I understand it's also in relation to some protection orders that were out against Connor as well. No doubt this will be pretty extensively covered by the media. It already has been. I've left some links below for some news stories, and you can check those out if you want. One thing is for sure though, it seems to be that Connor can't quite see where he's gone wrong, and the same could be said for his loyal followers who are still holding on for the Palmy Creep Catchers dream. They can't quite see where the mistakes have been made and why this hasn't been as successful as they may have imagined. Connor BEVINS and the Palmy Creep Catchers are very polarising figures, not only in Palmerston North where they are based, but also in New Zealand, and I think for the wider internet community. The reason it's so polarising, I believe, is because no one's quite sure exactly how to handle situations like this. On one hand, you have pedophiles and sexual offenders, people who are unsavoury, and of course something needs to be done about people like that. But then you also have Palmy Creep Catchers and Connor BEVINS, who are this vigilante group who basically persecuted people in public with little to no evidence whatsoever. You could also question the mental health of some of the people who met up with Connor. Let's just say that some of them didn't seem like they were 100% mentally healthy. This is a common issue, not only with the Palmy Creep Catchers, but with creep catcher groups all over the world, is that often they seem to target mentally disabled people. My last thoughts on the Palmy Creep Catchers and Connor BEVINS. I find it hard to believe that the Palmy Creep Catchers will continue, at least in its current form. Connor BEVINS is not allowed to be uploading to the internet at the moment, and based on his current or upcoming court case, he's going to receive a lot of attention from the police, probably for a very long time, which will make it quite difficult. Unless you're a real fucking dumbass, it will make it quite difficult to continue to do this. What we might see is a copycat group, or a group that in Connor's honour will start doing the same thing and trying to find and out sexual offenders in the community. If people are out there and they're thinking of doing the same thing, my piece of advice to you is to make sure you do your fucking research. That is something that the Palmy Creep Catchers never did. They didn't make sure that what they were doing was legal. They didn't make sure that they had solid evidence that could stand up in the court of law. There are groups who do this around the world, and they do it much better than the Palmy Creep Catchers probably could have ever done. They have legal aid involved. Production quality, I know it's not something to focus on, but that's much better. and the videos aren't really released until they've been looked over by a lawyer to make sure that if this was to go anywhere, they're covered. Thank you for watching this video. It was a really long one, so thank you for sticking through. It took about 20 times longer to make, so thank you very much for watching. Leave your comments down below about your thoughts and feelings in regards to the Palmy Creep Catchers. As I said, they're a really polarizing figure in the community, so it will be really interesting to see what you guys think, and maybe we can have a chat about it. Not sure when my next video will be. I really enjoyed kind of the investigation type video. Not really an investigation, it was a pretty basic one, but I enjoyed doing it this way. So maybe my next one will be like that, maybe it won't be, who knows. But thank you for your time, thank you for watching, and leave a subscribe, leave a like, do whatever you like. But either way, I'll see you again really soon. Stay safe out there, fam.